The smoking ruins of New Geneva Colony stretched for kilometers across what was once humanity's most promising outpost in the Centaurus system. Lieutenant Commander Maya Reyes stood amid the wreckage of the command center, her face streaked with blood and soot. The Galactic Confederation had promised protection, allies and prosperity when Earth joined their ranks 15 years ago. Instead, they received betrayal. Maya kicked aside a fragment of twisted metal that had once been part of the communications array. Her combat boots crunched on shattered glass as she made her way to the only functioning terminal in the room. The screen flickered with intermittent power as she pulled up the colony's final defense logs. "Commander," a voice called from behind her. Lieutenant Shen limped through the doorway, his uniform torn and one arm roughly bandaged. Rescue teams have found another pocket of survivors in the residential sector. That makes 317 confirmed alive. He didn't need to add the unspoken comparison to the colony's original population of 10,000. Maya nodded, her jaw clenched tight. Any word from Earth Command? Still nothing. The Confederation ships are jamming all long-range communications. We're cut off. 24 hours earlier, the Confederation's peacekeeping fleet had arrived for what they called a routine inspection. Without warning, they opened fire. If not for the independent defense system, Maya's team had installed against regulations, a system based on uniquely human combat doctrines the aliens had dismissed as primitive. The casualties would have been total rather than merely devastating. "What about the data cores?" Maya asked, turning back to the terminal. "Did we recover anything from Central Archives?" Shen produced a small metallic cue from his pocket. Engineering managed to salvage this before the secondary explosions. It contains partial archives, including all communications from the past week. Maya took the cube, feeling its weight in her palm. With quick, practiced movements, she connected it to the terminal. Encryption codes flashed across the screen as the system attempted to read the damaged data. There. Maya pointed as fragments of transmissions appeared. "Look at the source codes on these communications." Shen leaned in, eyes narrowing as he processed what he was seeing. These are coming from Confederation diplomatic channels, but he paused, confusion evident in his voice. These access codes belong to human officials, high-ranking ones. Maya's fingers flew across the interface, pulling together fragments of data like pieces of a horrific puzzle. Encrypted transmissions between the Confederation ships and several human officials gradually formed a coherent picture. The horrifying truth emerged. Certain high-ranking humans had agreed to sacrifice New Geneva as a testing ground for new Confederation weapons. In exchange, these traitors would receive advanced technology and positions of power in the new order. This wasn't just an alien attack, Maya whispered, her voice dangerously calm. It was facilitated by our own kind. Outside, the evening sky glowed an unnatural orange as fires continued to burn throughout the colony. Emergency sirens wailed in the distance, punctuated by the occasional sound of collapsing structures. Maya stared at the list of names on the screen: Earth senators, military officials, corporate leaders, people who had sold out humanity for personal gain. She removed a personal data chip from her wrist unit and downloaded the evidence. The chip felt warm against her skin as she slipped it into a secure pocket of her uniform. "What do we do now, Commander?" Shen asked, his expression grim but resolute. Maya looked out through the shattered windows at the burning colony, at the people moving through the devastation, helping the injured, securing vital resources, refusing to give up despite overwhelming loss. Her eyes reflected the flames as she made her decision. We survive. We rebuild what we can. She touched the pocket holding the data chip. And then we hunt down every last one of these traitors. As night fell on the ruined colony, Maya stood on what remained of the command center's observation deck. Below, rescue teams continued their grim work by the light of emergency flares. The stars above shone with cold indifference to the suffering below. Somewhere out there, the architects of this atrocity believed themselves safe from consequences. They were wrong. 2 weeks after the attack, Maya stood in an unmarked shuttle as it approached what appeared to be an unremarkable asteroid in the outer belt. Her wounds had been treated, though a fresh scar now traced her jawline. The shuttle's pilot, a stone-faced woman with Earth Force Special Operations insignia, hadn't spoken a word since their departure from the lunar emergency base. Approaching Black Site Omega, the pilot finally announced, "Prepare for authentication." A beam of invisible energy swept through the shuttle, scanning their molecular signatures. Maya felt a slight tingling as it passed through her body. The asteroid before them suddenly shimmered, its surface seeming to ripple like water. A massive hangar door materialized and slid open, revealing a cavernous space within. "Welcome to humanity's dirty little secret," the pilot said with the first hint of emotion, grim pride. Inside the asteroid, Maya's breath caught. Suspended in a zero-gravity construction cradle was a ship unlike any in Earth's official fleet. Its hull was midnight black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The lines of the vessel defied conventional human design principles, incorporating curves and angles that seemed to trick the eye. "The Nightshade," said Admiral Chen, waiting at the dock as Maya's shuttle landed. The Admiral's uniform lacked insignia or rank markers. This operation existed outside the chain of command, humanity's insurance policy. Maya saluted. "Sir, I wasn't aware we had technology this advanced." "Officially, we don't." Chen led her along a walkway that circled the mysterious vessel. "The Confederation believes we're still licking our wounds, integrating their carefully measured technological gifts at a pace they control." His voice carried the edge of contained anger. "They never imagined we'd have contingency plans." The walkway led to an observation deck overlooking the ship's final assembly. Technicians swarmed over the hull, installing components that seemed to drink in the light around them. 17 different Confederation treaties prohibit this vessel's existence, Chen continued. "We've incorporated stolen alien technology, enhanced by human innovation. The stealth systems were reverse-engineered for a downed Confederation scout ship. The propulsion system uses principles their scientists believe humans are centuries from understanding." Maya studied the ship with new appreciation. "How long has this been in development?" "Since the day we joined the Confederation. There have always been those of us who prepared for betrayal." Chen turned to face her directly. "I've reviewed your service record and the New Geneva defense logs. Your actions saved hundreds of lives." "Not enough," Maya said quietly. "No, but now you can help bring justice to those responsible." Chen handed her a data tablet. "I'm authorizing you to assemble a team for Operation Nemesis." Maya scrolled through the files. Dossiers on potential recruits, each with unique skills, and each with personal reasons to hate the Confederation. Shen was there, her lieutenant from New Geneva. A woman named Kamara, a former criminal whose talent for slicing alien systems bordered on supernatural. Rodriguez, a combat specialist with experimental neural enhancements. Dr. Harper, a xenolinguist who could mimic any Confederation species perfectly. "Your first target awaits on Helios Station," Chen said, bringing up an image of a luxury orbital habitat where the wealthy from across the galaxy indulged their appetites. Former Earth Senator Diane Winters. Intelligence suggests she was instrumental in selecting New Geneva for destruction. Maya studied Winter's smiling official portrait, the practiced smile of a politician, the eyes of someone who had calculated the value of 10,000 human lives and found it acceptable. "The Nightshade will be ready in 48 hours, Chen said. "Select your team and prepare for departure. As far as Earth Command knows, you're leading a survivor relief mission to Proxima Colony." As Maya left the observation deck, she passed a viewport that looked out into the asteroid field. Beyond it, the stars beckoned. Somewhere out there, the Traitors believed themselves safe, protected by their Confederation masters. The comfortable part of their lives was about to end. The opulence of Helios Station disgusted Maya. Crystal spires and gravity-defying architecture housed pleasure gardens, where the elite of 20 species mingled beneath an artificial sky. Holographic birds with impossible plumage flitted between exotic trees imported from a dozen worlds. Meanwhile, the survivors of New Geneva crowded into emergency shelters on Luna, rationing recycled water. Senator Winters just entered the North Atrium. Shen's voice came through the nearly invisible comm unit in Maya's ear. He monitored security systems from a maintenance corridor 3 levels below, his fingers dancing across a portable terminal disguised as standard Confederation maintenance equipment. "Confirmed visual," Maya replied softly. She adjusted the sleeve of her formal attire, expensive garments procured from the wardrobe of a wealthy human collaborator, now sitting in a detention cell back on Earth. The fabric felt wrong against her skin, too soft, too indulgent. Across the atrium, Kamara drifted among the guests, her criminal past making her remarkably comfortable in this environment of wealth and privilege. Her augmented eyes, modified to appear as fashionable cosmetic enhancements, continuously scanned for surveillance devices. The senator has 6 guards. Rodriguez reported from his position near the refreshment area. The combat specialist had undergone temporary cosmetic procedures to hide his military implants. 4 human, 2 Xari. The Xari are armed with neural disruptors, illegal even by Confederation standards. Dr. Harper completed their infiltration team, her genetically modified vocal cords perfectly mimicking the musical language of the Xari as she engaged a group of the mantis-like aliens in conversation. None suspected that the elegant translator in their midst was mapping their communication patterns for security bypass. "Wait for my signal," Maya instructed, accepting a flute of iridescent liquid from a serving drone. She pretended to sip, watching as Senator Winters worked the room with practiced charm. The woman who had helped condemn 10,000 humans to death now laughed and chatted with alien dignitaries as if she hadn't a care in the universe. The operation proceeded with precision timing. Kamara triggered a localized dampening field that disabled surveillance in the senator's private wing. Shen rerouted security patrols with false alerts. Harper created a diplomatic distraction by accidentally offending a Xiri official with an improper grammatical infection, drawing the attention of the senator's alien guards. Maya and Rodriguez intercepted Winters in the private corridor leading to her suite. The senator's eyes widened with recognition, then narrowed with calculation. "Lieutenant Commander Reyes," Winters said, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "I was informed you died at New Geneva." "Many did," Maya replied coldly. 10,000 of your constituents." Winters backed toward a hidden panic button, her practiced diplomatic smile never wavering. "You don't understand the opportunities they offered. The Confederation has plans for humanity's advancement that go beyond our limited perspective. You sacrificed 10,000 lives." Maya stepped closer, blocking the senator's retreat. "To save billions," Winters hissed, her composure cracking. The tests were necessary. The architects demanded proof of our genetic potential. The strong survive. That's the only law that matters in this galaxy. Rodriguez moved with enhanced speed as Winters lunged for the alarm. He intercepted her with a swift injection that paralyzed, but did not render her unconscious. As her body stiffened, Maya noticed something strange about the senator's exposed neck, geometric patterns beneath the skin, faintly luminescent. "Commander," Rodriguez called, his scanner hovering over Winter's now rigid form. "She's been extensively modified. These aren't standard Confederation augmentations." Maya examined the readings. The genetic modifications had altered more than the Traitors' appearance. Her cellular structure showed evidence of fundamental reorganization. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. "Perimeter breach," Shen reported urgently through the comm. "They know we're here, but they shouldn't be able to detect our signatures." "It's me," Winters said, her voice strangely calm despite the paralytic. Her eyes glowed with unnatural light. "They're always watching through me. The modifications connect us directly to them." "Extract now," Maya ordered, securing the immobilized senator as Rodriguez took point position. "Bring the target. The Nightshade awaits." Their escape transformed into a desperate race through suddenly sealed corridors, a magnificent display of human adaptability as each team member employed skills no alien security system was designed to counter. The Nightshade drifted silently in the shadow of a rogue planet, a dark world wandering between stars. No heat signatures, no energy emissions, nothing to betray its presence to passing Confederation patrols. Inside the ship's secure interrogation chamber, Maya studied their captive through one-way transparent aluminum. Senator Winters sat motionless, restraints unnecessary due to the neural inhibitors suppressing her augmentations. The geometric patterns beneath her skin had faded to dull grey without their power source. Dr. Harper monitored the woman's vital signs, making careful adjustments to keep her conscious but unable to activate whatever communication systems had been integrated into her modified body. "The changes go down to the cellular level," Harper explained, displaying complex molecular scans on the chamber's medical interface. "Her DNA has been partially rewritten. Some sequences don't match any known species in our database." Maya frowned. "Can you temporarily disable the modifications without killing her? We need answers." "I've isolated a neural cluster that seems to control the communication functions," Harper replied. "I can suppress it selectively while allowing normal cognitive function." Inside the chamber, Winters suddenly twitched as Harper applied the targeted inhibitor. Her eyes cleared, showing fear and confusion before hardening into defiance. "You've made a grave mistake," the senator said as Maya entered. "The Confederation will." "The Confederation already thinks you're dead," Maya interrupted, displaying a holographic news report. "A tragic accident during the disturbance at Helios Station. Your Confederation handlers have already appointed your replacement." Uncertainty flickered across Winter's face. "They wouldn't abandon me. I'm too valuable." "You're a tool," Maya countered, taking a seat across from her. "One they've already replaced. Help us understand what we're facing, and perhaps you can avoid standing trial for 10,000 counts of murder." Something broke in the senator's practiced composure. "You think this is about politics? Power? It's so much more." She leaned forward, voice dropping to a whisper. "There are 12 of us. The director selected us personally. We're prototypes for humanity's evolution." "Who is the director?" Maya pressed. "Not who, what?" Winters replied. "The architects created it to oversee human integration. They'd been watching us for centuries, waiting until we reached the necessary technological threshold. New Geneva was just one test among many. Maya kept her expression neutral despite her growing alarm. What kind of test? Resilience, adaptability, response to extreme stress. Winter's eyes took on a distant look. The strong survive. The worthy are improved. Improved into what, exactly? Winters opened her mouth to respond, but instead convulsed violently. Blood trickled from her nose and ears as hidden implants activated, sending biological failsafes coursing through her system. "She's coding," Harper shouted, rushing in with emergency medical equipment. Some kind of self-destruct sequence in the implants. Despite Harper's desperate efforts to save her, Winters died minutes later, but not before whispering coordinates that matched no known Confederation world. Later, in the Nightshade's command center, Maya briefed her team. Rodriguez and Camara displayed the fresh wounds of their escape from Helios Station. Shen worked at mapping the mysterious coordinates Winters had provided with her dying breath. "I've got something," he announced, bringing up a three-dimensional star chart. The coordinates point to a region in unclaimed space, near the boundary between Confederation territory and the Void Expanse. "Admiral Chen is transmitting new intelligence," Camara reported, monitoring encrypted channels. "The Confederation has demanded that all human worlds submit to protective occupation following the terrorist incident at Helios. Several outer colonies have already surrendered, believing the New Geneva attack was a rogue action rather than official policy." Maya studied the coordinates on the star chart. "They're dividing us, isolating Earth while they move against our colonies one by one." "What's our next move, Commander?" Rodriguez asked. Outside the viewports, the dark planetoid blocked out the distant stars, a perfect hiding place for hunters who had become the hunted. Maya thought of the dying senator's words: prototypes, tests, architects. Pieces of a puzzle far larger and more sinister than she had imagined. "We follow these coordinates," she decided. "We find out what the director is, what these architects want with humanity, and why they needed to sacrifice New Geneva to get it." The Nightshade emerged from its final jump at the edge of the coordinate system, drives powering down to minimal output. The view screen showed nothing but empty space. No planets, no stations, no obvious reason for Winter's dying revelation. Passive scans only. Maya ordered as the bridge crew conducted their survey. "If something's out here, I don't want it knowing we've arrived." Shen hunched over his sensor station, brow furrowed in concentration. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual gravitational readings. According to standard models, there should be a significant mass in this region, but visually there's nothing." Optical camouflage. Rodriguez suggested from tactical. "Similar to our stealth systems, but on a much larger scale." Maya considered the possibilities. "Dr. Harper, what do Confederation records tell us about this sector?" The Xenolinguist consulted her database. "Nothing. This entire region is marked as empty space in all official navigation charts. No resources, no strategic value. Which makes it the perfect place to hide something important," Maya concluded. "Camara, can you calibrate our sensors to detect the same energy signatures as those found in Senator Winter's implants?" The technical specialist's fingers flew across her console. "Recalibrating now. If there's any connection between her modifications and whatever's out here." She paused, eyes widening. "Got something. A massive energy signature with the same quantum resonance frequency. It's enormous." The main view screen shifted as Camara adjusted their sensors. What had appeared as empty space now revealed a massive structure, an artificial construct larger than Earth's moon, yet completely absent from official records. The architecture incorporated elements from dozens of species, some sections appearing ancient, while others gleamed with new construction. Stealth fields disengaged, Shen reported with surprise. They're inviting us in. A transmission came through on all frequencies, consisting not of language but pure mathematical sequences, an elegant universal greeting that required no translation. "They know we're here," Maya said grimly, "and they were expecting us." With few alternatives, Maya ordered a cautious approach. The Nightshade docked at an extended berth that seemed designed specifically for their vessel, another unsettling indication that their arrival had been anticipated. The boarding party consisted of Maya, Rodriguez, and Harper, each armed with specialized weapons designed to counteract Confederation technology. They entered the structure through an airlock that cycled automatically, admitting them to vast corridors that dwarfed human scale. "This place is ancient," Harper whispered, scanning inscriptions on the walls. These symbols predate recorded Confederation history. They followed illuminated pathways that activated before them, clearly guiding them deeper into the facility. Eventually, they reached massive chambers filled with suspended animation pods arranged in concentric circles. Each pod contained a modified member of different species, all showing similar genetic alterations to Winter's. Most disturbing were the newest pods, containing hybrid forms that blended traits from multiple species into configurations that defied natural evolution. "This is a weapons factory," Rodriguez whispered, the tactical officer's enhanced vision scanning the specimens. "They're building living weapons." In the central laboratory, they found their second target, Dr. Elias Venturi, once Earth's foremost genetic engineer. Unlike Winters, Venturi showed no surprise at their arrival. He continued his work at a console, displaying DNA sequences, acknowledging them with a nod as if they were expected colleagues rather than armed intruders. "I wondered which hunter team would find me first," he said, calmly adjusting parameters on a simulation showing cellular mutation rates. "The director has similar facilities in 17 locations. You've found just one tendril of something vast." Maya raised her weapon. "Dr. Elias Venturi, you're wanted for crimes against humanity, including complicity in the New Geneva massacre." Venturi sighed and turned to face them fully. Unlike Winters, his modifications were more subtle. Only his eyes betrayed his altered state, pupils shaped like horizontal diamonds rather than circles. "You still don't understand what you're involved in," he said. "The Confederation isn't a political entity, but a vast experiment running for millennia. The architects select, test, and harvest. We humans were never meant to join as equals. We were selected for our adaptive capacity and unique cognitive patterns." He gestured to the pods surrounding them. "We're not their allies. We're their raw materials." The Nightshade limped into the outer reaches of the Sol system, battle damage marring its once perfect stealth hull. Their escape from the Architect facility had come at a cost. Venturi's laboratory had been equipped with defenses designed to counter even unknown technology. Only Chimera's unprecedented hack of the facility's central systems had allowed them to escape with their lives, their prisoner, and terabytes of classified research data. Dr. Venturi sat in the ship's secure holding cell, his modified eyes watching Maya with unnerving calm. Unlike Winters, he had no suicide implants, his value to the architects apparently too great to risk. "You should be thanking me," he said as Maya reviewed the preliminary analysis of the stolen data. "My modifications to the genetic templates will ensure humanity survives the confluence." "The what?" Maya asked, looking up sharply. Venture's expression remained placid. The purpose of all this? Why do you think they test species so thoroughly? The architects are building towards something specific, a convergence of traits. Each selected species contributes particular qualities. Humans offer adaptability and creative problem-solving unlike anything they've incorporated before. Before she could question him further, Shen called from the bridge, "Commander, we've got problems. The system is changed." Maya found a transformed Sol system awaiting them. Long-range scans showed Confederation battleships in orbit around Mars, Jupiter's moons, and several major asteroid settlements. Earth itself remained free, but surrounded by a defensive perimeter of human vessels. Patching through Admiral Chen's emergency broadcast, Kamara announced, bringing up a recorded message. Chen's face appeared on screen, looking haggard but determined. "To all loyal human forces, the Confederation has demanded our complete surrender following what they term terrorist actions against their personnel and facilities. Several colonies have already capitulated, believing the New Geneva attack was an isolated incident. We know differently." The Admiral detailed how Earth had refused demands for disarmament, resulting in a blockade. Many nations and settlements had chosen different paths, some surrendering to Confederation protection, others joining Earth's resistance. "There's a secure facility on Titan." Chen's message concluded with encrypted coordinates. "Find me there." The Nightshade navigated the fragmented debris fields of recent battles, evidence of humanity's desperate resistance against vastly superior forces. Using their stealth systems, they slipped past Confederation patrols to reach Saturn's largest moon. Admiral Chen had established a hidden base beneath Titan's methane lakes, gathering loyal forces and refugee scientists. Hardened pressure domes housed thousands of survivors from occupied colonies, while improvised factories constructed weapons based on stolen Confederation designs. In a secure briefing room, Maya shared the recovered data and Venture's revelations. The genetic templates stored in the facility suggested that tests had been conducted on hundreds of species over thousands of years. "The patterns are clear," Dr. Harper explained, analyzing the genetic sequences. "Each tested species contributes particular traits to a larger design. Resilience from the Drovari, spatial cognition from the Tsiri, and from humans, our adaptability and creative problem-solving. But why sacrifice New Geneva? Asta General Maya didn't recognize. Why reveal their intentions now?" Maya turned to Admiral Chen. "Because they're afraid. According to Venture, humans are developing too quickly in ways their models couldn't predict. We're the first species to actively hunt those who tested us." Chen's weathered face showed grim satisfaction. "Then we continue to defy their expectations." He activated a holographic display showing a familiar face. "Your next target, General Harmon, once Earth's highest-ranking military officer, now serving as humanity's representative on the Confederation Security Council." The image showed a distinguished officer in formal diplomatic attire, standing alongside alien dignitaries on what appeared to be the Confederation's central governance world. "Unlike your previous targets, Harmon cannot be extracted," Chen explained. "You must infiltrate the Confederation capital itself, a planet no unauthorized species has ever seen and returned to tell about." As the briefing concluded, long-range sensors detected a Confederation battle fleet assembling near Jupiter, clearly preparing for a major assault on Earth. Chen led Maya to a secure hangar where engineers worked on sleek ships, unlike any in Earth's official fleet. "They expect us to either surrender or fight conventionally," he said as they watched the final preparations. They've never faced humans with nothing left to lose and their own technology in our hands. The Nightshade slipped through the outer defenses of the Confederation capital system, its enhanced stealth systems performing beyond even their designers' expectations. Maya stood on the bridge, watching as they navigated past automated sentry platforms and patrol vessels that should have detected them instantly. Dr. Venture's reluctant insights into Confederation detection protocols had proven invaluable. Final approach to Primaxis, Shen announced, using the Confederation designation for their capital world, maintaining stealth envelope at maximum efficiency. Maya studied the planet growing larger on their view screen. Unlike the uniform cityscapes of most Confederation worlds, Primaxis defied description. A world where reality itself seemed malleable. Structures flowed into one another in impossible geometries, and the line between technology and biology had vanished entirely. Glittering spires rose into the atmosphere, while vast networks spread across the surface like luminous veins. "It's beautiful," Dr. Harper whispered, even her xenolinguist's extensive vocabulary failing to capture the sight. "And completely artificial," Kamara added, monitoring sensor readings. "This entire planet has been engineered down to the molecular level. There's no natural terrain remaining." Their mission hinged on perfect coordination. While Earth's secret fleet engaged the Confederation forces near Jupiter as a distraction, drawing attention away from the capital, the Nightshade would insert Maya's team to locate General Harmon and extract whatever intelligence they could about the architect's plans. Using technology derived from Dr. Venture's research, each team member underwent temporary genetic modifications to mask their human signatures. The process left Maya feeling strange in her own skin, her senses slightly altered, but the disguises held under Confederation security scans as they landed at a secondary spaceport. "Remember," Maya told her team as they prepared to disembark, "we have 18 hours before these modifications begin to destabilize. We find Harmon, extract what we need, and get out before anyone realizes what we are." The impossible city disoriented them despite their preparation. Pathways shifted to accommodate different species' needs. Buildings reconfigured themselves based on unknown parameters, and information flowed through the air itself in patterns visible only to those with correctly modified senses. Dr. Harper led them through the chaos, her enhanced linguistic abilities allowing her to interpret the multi-dimensional communication networks. "The administrative sector is 3 levels up," she translated. "Harmon should be attending a Security Council session in the Central Nexus." They navigated through crowds of beings from across the galaxy, some recognizable, others so alien that Maya's mind struggled to process their forms. Species that official records claimed were mortal enemies mingled peacefully here, their apparent differences seemingly irrelevant within the capital's strange harmony. "It's all a performance," Rodriguez observed quietly. "These beings aren't diplomats. They're administrators. This isn't a government. It's a management structure." The central nexus loomed before them, a massive crystalline structure that seemed to fold into dimensions beyond normal space. Security drones with sensors far more advanced than anything they'd encountered before patrolled the entrances. Their modified genetics wouldn't fool these systems. "We need a distraction," Maya decided, noting the patterns of the security protocols. Kamara smiled slightly. Already arranged. She activated a remote signal, and across the city, power fluctuations rippled through secondary systems, nothing critical, but enough to divert security resources. They slipped through the temporary gap in defenses, entering the heart of Confederation power. Inside, they discovered the truth Maya had begun to suspect. The entire Confederation served entities that existed beyond conventional spacetime. The Security Council wasn't a gathering of ambassadors, but an interface system where selected representatives communicated with the architects directly. When they finally located General Harmon, they found not a traitor, but a prisoner of his own modified body. The once proud military officer had been transformed into a living interface between humanity and the architect's systems, his consciousness partially merged with their network, his body sustaining itself through direct connection to the city's energy grid. Reyes, he rasped when he saw them, recognition flickering in his mostly mechanical eyes. They're afraid of you, of all humans. In 10,000 cycles, no species has responded to the culling process by hunting the hunters. The general's living quarters were a laboratory rather than a residence, his body monitored and adjusted by systems that flowed through the walls themselves. Why did you help them target New Geneva? Maya demanded, the memory of the colony's destruction still raw. To buy time, Harmon whispered. They wanted Earth itself. I convinced them a smaller demonstration would suffice. One colony instead of our homeworld. With General Harmon's help, the team accessed the architect's communication network. Using techniques no non-human mind would attempt, Kamara created a cascading system failure that bypassed safeguards designed to last millennia. The truth about the Confederation, about the architects and their grand experiment, broadcast to every connected world simultaneously. It's done, Kamara announced, her fingers still dancing across the alien interface. Every species in Confederation space is receiving the data package, including evidence of the true purpose behind countless tests and advancement programs. The effect was immediate. Throughout the capital, alarms blared as security systems detected the unprecedented breach. Beings of all species stopped in mid-motion, their attention captured by the sudden flood of revelations appearing on every information surface. Some collapsed in despair, others raged in disbelief, many simply stood frozen in shock. Time to leave, Maya ordered as the first security drones converged on their position. General, we can extract you. No, Harmon interrupted, his partly mechanical form unable to disconnect from the systems that sustained him. I'm already dead, Commander. My purpose now is to ensure this message cannot be contained. He interfaced directly with the capital's systems, using his authorized access to keep communication channels open despite the architect's attempts to shut them down. Go. Finish what we started. Their escape became a desperate race as the perfect order of the capital dissolved into chaos. Species long manipulated by the architects turned against their overseers, while loyalist forces mobilized to suppress the rebellion. The city itself seemed to convulse, structures reconfiguring to contain the spreading unrest. The Nightshade is compromised, Shen reported, receiving emergency signals from their ship. Confederation forces have located it. There, Rodriguez pointed to a small diplomatic vessel preparing for departure. That's our way out. They fought their way to the landing pad, their human combat techniques proving devastatingly effective against security forces trained to counter only predictable, programmed responses. Rodriguez covered their rear, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to hold off pursuers as the others secured the ship. Get it started. Maya shouted to Kamara as she provided covering fire. She turned to see Rodriguez take a direct hit from an energy weapon, the blast burning through his modified genetics to reveal his human DNA beneath. Go! He shouted, still fighting despite his fatal wound. I'll hold them. The last Maya saw of Rodriguez was his smile as he triggered explosives they'd planted as contingency measures, collapsing the access corridor behind them. His sacrifice gave them the precious seconds needed to launch. As their stolen vessel broke atmosphere, they witnessed the once perfect capital descending into revolution. Ships of all configurations fought in orbit, Confederation vessels firing on one another as crews divided along species lines. In the Sol system, the human fleet achieved what should have been impossible: victory against a technologically superior force through tactics no simulation could predict. As Confederation ships began turning against one another, with some crews rebelling against Architect control, the balance shifted further. Back on Earth 2 weeks later, representatives from 17 formerly subjugated species arrived seeking alliance. The Architects had withdrawn to unknown regions, but their departure had left a galaxy in chaos. Power vacuums emerged, and ancient rivalries once suppressed by Confederation control threatened to reignite. Humanity, resilient, adaptable, and unbroken, stood at a crossroads. Rather than seek domination, Admiral Chen proposed a new form of interstellar cooperation, the Alliance of Free Worlds, where each species contributed their unique perspectives as equals. Maya stood at the New Geneva Memorial as the first Alliance summit convened nearby. The names of the fallen surrounded her, including Rodriguez's, newly added to the wall. Alongside them was a simple inscription: "They sought to test our limits. Instead, they discovered them." Dr. Harper approached, now serving as Earth's chief senior-linguistic officer for the newly formed alliance. "The delegates are ready for your address, Commander." After the mission to Premaxis, Maya had become a symbol to both humans and aliens, the hunter who had brought down an empire. "They've confirmed what we suspected," Harper continued. "Several Architect enclaves remain hidden across the galaxy. Intelligence suggests they're regrouping, perhaps planning their return." Maya's expression shifted from remembrance to resolve. She touched the memorial wall one last time, then turned toward the summit building where representatives of 20 species awaited. The greatest hunt still lay ahead, but this time humanity wouldn't face it alone. "Then we'll be ready for them," she said. "The fight was just the beginning, but the future belongs to all of us now."